Okay, so I've got a lot to go through here, but I nearly got scammed in Rongo Kenya on a what's called missionary scam, where you are taken around this country and you are gonna pay out some cash. And if you don't pay out, by the way, your trip can quickly turn into a nightmare. And of course, many people get their guard down when it comes to church and religion and political figures because they seem so legitimate. But you have to remember that most people, even in the Parliament of Kenya, where I was going to be going on my missionary trip, most of them have court cases against them, and particularly in Rongo, Kenya, one of the officials in 2018 was actually arrested for trying to take over a radio station and also try to use a political slush fund to make a lot of money. So you can gather with yourself, you can understand how the scams work, but what you have to do is you have to put your critical thinking cap on. I was so close to getting on a plane. I was about 4 or 5 days from getting on a plane and doing it, and I've been talking to these people for months. I'm going to go over the general story. I'm going to go over who this individual is that you see on the screen. His name is George Caleb Oguta. That is actually his name. And these people are legit. He is somebody who he says he is. But there are holes in his story, which we'll get onto his story. But these people, if you do a background check on them, everything looks hunky-dory. I mean, you've got to be crazy, right, to go to some foreign country with a load of people you don't know. And a church is really good to disarm people. A church, politician, political figure, it's a great way to disarm people, right? And to let the guards down. Because if you have no guards, then it's nice and easy. It's like taking money from a piggy bank. And I'm going to show you all the red flags that I've had with this man. I'm not going to go too much into detail because otherwise I'll be here for hours. I just did a 40-minute recording and that was only just introducing this. So I'm going to do it a lot quicker. I've deleted that one now. I'm going to redo it. So this is a person who appears to be legitimate. I nearly got scammed in Rongo, Kenya by what's known as a missionary scam. A missionary scam, by the way, is a scam where basically they take you on this church scam and they take you all around these churches, which is exactly what they were going to do. And each one of them is going to want money, right? It's all about the Benjis at the end of the day. And then when they're finally done fleecing you, like they do fleecing their flocks, they will basically send you back on a plane and off you go, toodle pips. You go back home, right? That's it. Maybe you might not even make it home. Some of the missionaries that I know about in the scam, possibly some of them didn't make it back, or they were severely beaten and they just made it out with their lives. So be very careful with who you trust. You don't know these people. You don't know who they really are. You may have known them over months and months. You could even say years, but they'll always want to push you to come soon as possible to teach. But you're like, well, hold on a minute, it's not that yet. And there is a very big hole in this person's story, but everything about them on the internet will check out. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. And if you're one of these people thinking of going out and doing this missionary stuff, listen to this story entirely first, because I'm so glad I did not go out there. This can be potentially deadly and dangerous. Don't forget, people that covet, the Bible says this, people that covet, that love money, is the root of all evil. People kill for money. People murder their own family for money. People will step over a dead body for money. They will happily step over yours too if you covet. So don't forget, covetous people are dangerous people. And if you get an inkling of this, you need to stop and think before you do. And do not ignore the red flags. And do not act in haste. Not everybody that comes to you that says, Lord, Lord, actually lives by the Lord. Even God says, those that call me Lord, Lord, not all of them will inherit the kingdom of God. Some are workers of iniquity, and you've got to be careful of these people. And they will send you people that look legitimate. And in fact, this person overall, if you do a background check, a security check on this individual, they are who they say they are. So listen to this entirely, because you could say, I've done all the checks on this individual. I've seen this on this organization. I've legitimized it. I've researched it. This person is who they say they are. Don't fall for it, because the scam is that they are the white knight in the scam. They are someone who you look at, who you can research, and they will not appear to have any red flags on their name. They are the white knight. And you will not see it coming. Listen to this entire testimony. If you're serious about this, be careful. Listen to the whole surmising, because I don't want anybody going out there who has a good heart and to be exploited. This needs to. So, again, I'm going to show you like how convincing this is. This is so convincing, but yet we're going to start to examine it. And by the way, a little bit of advice. When you see churches, politicians, officials, and you can see that they're a public figurehead and you think, wow, these are so great. What you have to understand is that when your guard is down, that's the time to then think critically, because you naturally will not think about it, and then you will. And you will think, that is the time to think critically about a lot of this. And we have to remember, this guy said he's super poor, his parents were poor, everybody's poor, and yet he's giving a $50,000 church to the community. He's giving. I mean, that's a red flag. And I'm going to tell you why, because where did the money come from? His own people, right? They paid for the church. He hasn't. His father was poor. His mother was poor. They died of HIV. Lord knows what happens to the inheritance of his brothers and sisters. Who paid? Who paid? He has a Western style education. He has all this. Anyway, let's get a backstory on him. And his backstory is solid. Obviously, him working in security, and he is a student in Nairobi, or was a student in Nairobi studying IT security. And this helps them understand social engineering. Most scams are done through social engineering, not actually trying to hack into a server. You know, when you see all those geeks with all the terminal open and everything. I'm a programmer, so I'm like a little geek. And you go, most of hacking isn't like that. Most hacking is social engineering. Emails, text messages. I mean, the weakness is between the seat and the keyboard, right? So most hacks don't actually happen through code. It happens through social engineering, people letting people into systems, things like that. So you can see that this is the same guy. He's the guy that I've been speaking to. And again, this guy, I can just contact him, right? You know, anybody can post online. I can say, oh, look at this guy. He's got a great story and blah, 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 blah. But when you look at this, you know, who is this person? I can just get on here and send a message. I can make up a story. Anybody can post this. But let's take a look at what is being said here. Brother Oguta contacted me recently upon discovering some of my writings on this website. So again, that's how George got in contact with me. He noticed the Laodicean Church of God, and then he said, I've noticed some of your writings and we want to be part of this, and so forth. Our stories touched each other greatly. He was kind enough to share his experiences as a boy and now serving God, serving many believers and non-believers throughout his region in Kenya. I love hearing how God watches over and helps the humble who are willing to look to him first. In this story, we see how God can raise us up to do great things for his glory. So that's the author. Let's take a look at George's story, or Caleb's story. I have a strong testimony of how God has moved me from the lowest of places into his grace. He has moved my family from dust to a better place. Let me give you a little bit of my background. I'm a Kenyan. My hometown is called Rongo in a small village called Kangoji. In the entire village, we were the poorest. Nobody ever expected that any good thing would one day come out of our home. In our family, people did not know Jesus Christ. We were living a life full of sins. Kind of a red flag, but yeah, people do, don't they? They live a life of sin and they turn to God. A life full of prostitution and drinking of alcohol and abuse of drugs. Even though we were in fellowship with a local church, we did not know God. But I did not know that God had good plans for our family and me too. There was a day my family were fighting. It was my mother and father. It also happened there was a man of God who was passing by our home to go somewhere. He stopped and separated my mother and father as they were fighting and prayed for them instantly. I can tell you that Caleb is possibly telling the truth on this, that he literally is repeating the same story pound for pound. This story here. Again, nobody can fact check this as well. Nobody can actually go in and check the records. Nobody can go in and check this information. It could well be, though, that again, the scam has a white knight where even if you do a background check and you check this, it'll come up all clear. But you'll see the scam later on. But here, you're going to think I'm the biggest piece of crap by speaking, not necessarily speaking of him in a good light. Let's put it that way. Soon after, this man, being a pastor, came to visit my family again to confirm if they were sorry for their actions and desiring to change their hearts. He prayed for them again, and my dad gave permission to him to establish a church in our home. That is how a new church was planted in our village through our home. So remember, I asked where the money comes from. Well, the money came from the people. This guy is profiting off the people like most people in churches. And okay, church leaders, ministers, they need paying too. This is nothing new. But when he said, I gave this $50,000 church to the community, I think you'll find they paid for it. This guy doesn't have any money. He didn't have any money. And by the looks of things, with him pleading poverty, he doesn't have a lot of money. But when I look at him, he does. Among my siblings, I was the most stupid person in our family. My father never loved me because I was born out of wedlock, so I was growing up not loved at all. This was a terrible burden that hurt me deeply, and I had to carry that with me every day. My father was sure that I would not make it in life, but my inspired mother kept encouraging me just to be faithful to my dad, so that he would be blessed. Much later, praise God, I learned that secretly my father's heart was changing, and he would tell his friends that my son Oguta, he is the light in our family. But he never told me this. In 1997, I accepted Jesus Christ in my life and said, I know I am not loved, but there is somebody, my Creator, who loves me. This knowledge came from God to my soul, the light in me that day, and the far greater light given me today has come from above. Though God's Holy Spirit, my Father and Creator, told me that He loved me and would help me be what He designed for me. May our holy God be praised. Sounds all good, right? Starry-eyed. Starting that year, I decided to focus on Jesus Christ as the only person all my hope was with. I knew things would be different than the dust of my family's past. Even in school, I was not bright, and this annoyed my father even more. But God said, believe in me, and I believed. He taught me that to serve Him in any way is a holy way, and God will consecrate it all to my good and His glory. Because I believed in him and the ministry, I started as a cleaner. I did not care that it was a humble and simple thing. I would wake up every morning just to clean the church and the compound. My pastor did see my faithfulness and my trust in God, and I felt God's blessing, saying to my heart, "You are doing right, Oguta. This is a good thing you do for my people. You do what you can, and I will multiply your effort." As with the boy who had only a few loaves and fishes, I am the master and creator of all things, and I do multiply little things to do great things that feed many. And surely I will do it. I love the humble in heart who fear me, and who love to honor me. You are a beloved son to me. Keep walking in my light. So again, this sounds all very biblical and so forth. From cleaning the church compound, I call it compound religion. I don't know why they call it compound, but compound religion I don't like. I don't like anything that gates, gated community. From cleaning the church compound, God graduated me to be a messenger to my pastor. I served in that position well. I would carry his bag for him everywhere he was going. For this work, I received no money. This was serving the Lord, and I did it for him. After the messenger calling, God called me to be a Sunday school teacher. I served in this position well and diligently. This was a great delight to me. To think that my mentor and pastor and God himself entrusted me to teach his children and serve as a channel of his light for them. This was a great joy to me that I cannot express even today. From this position, God called me to be a translator for the sermons. Being a translator is much like being a preacher, because the translator labors in the Spirit to communicate the same godly thoughts as the preacher. During this time, I also registered to study in a Bible school, and praising God, I was made to finish my certificate in theology. After being a translator, God called me as an associate pastor, in which I served well to the year 2002. Now, this is even making me want to like him, right? Everything that I'm reading here, you just want to like the guy. One day there was a terrible incident in our church, even though I thank God for the blessing of this pastor who helped me change my family and our village. I did not know that our denomination did frown mightily on speaking in tongues in church. By the way, this story he recounted is exactly the same as the Church of Nazarene, and also exactly the same story he attested to with myself in private phone calls. So again, all of this adds up, right? I do background checks. I look at this guy and make sure there's no such things. There's nothing bad. There's no criminal history. What you do is you take a picture of the man's face, okay? You take a picture of his face, and then you do a Google image search of his face and make sure that, only good news comes up. My sister also did this, and again, she couldn't find anything that was really bad. There was obvious things that were kind of like, oh, that's a bit weird. Like, for example, he had a Facebook page, and there's loads of pictures of him. There's 5,000 followers, and he only got 2 or 3 likes. So it looks like he just paid for a load of followers on his Facebook page. If he was really that popular, why would that be? On this day, an elderly woman was worked upon by God's Spirit and did speak in tongues. And visiting leader of the church became very angry and caused her to be thrown out of the church. This did shock us all greatly, as we knew the woman who was crying out in the sincerity of her heart. Many quit church altogether. By this time, my father had begun to be kinder and to support me. I asked my father what we could do. God's Spirit worked upon us to revive the church from 2 members to 40 members. By God's grace, this church has grown from 1 to 25 little branches in Kenya. This is a great and miraculous that God did for the blessing of His children all through our region. We minister to elderly people who cannot walk. We set up house churches that cater to their spiritual needs. We have a children's ministry. We support them to go to school and also help with medication. We have prison ministry that once in a while we take the gospel message to the inmates. We go to where they are. We also have pastors' ministry that deals with supporting pastors' wives. We have one of the best youth ministries which helps bring youth who are not in Christ to know Christ and advise them to stay away from drugs and offer skills training so that they be independent and even take them to college. Wow, amazing, right? And don't get me wrong, these things could legit be happening. I'm not saying that these things aren't necessarily happening, but what you have to ask for is, in a poorish community, in those communities, who's paying for all of this? This man doesn't have any money. Even today, our members and I serve God alone and not for money. We are not paid for our service to Him and each other. Again, I have a testimony here that will shock you, again through PayPal, when I disputed a payment with him. You'll see a different side. I write to you, brother Christian, because I was greatly touched by your testimony that I read on the internet. We know that growing a testimony and desiring to repent start by hearing the word of God. I hope that my sharing these words with you can touch many lives as they hear my living testimony that God the Father and His Son Jesus. Okay. Get into the preachy bit. This is also the Church of Nazarene's website. The Church of Nazarene is a very big organization. Many churches are a part of the Church of Nazarene. They're all like little groupings of churches, in which Caleb failed to mention to this Church of Nazarene, this consortium, this organization, that he is moving away from this organization to the Laodicean Church of God. He didn't bother. He was absolutely certain that that's what they were doing and that's what they did, but they failed to notify the Church of Nazarene, of course, because they would take down this article that gives him legitimacy. During the Holy Week on the Lake Victoria district of Kenya, that's where the church is located. And you see, it's a pretty big church, right? This has got 200 or 300 people in. Churches celebrated many events, including baptism, the reception of new members, the organization of churches, and the dedication of church buildings. District Superintendent Frederick Amalo took Africa Eastfield Strategy Coordinator Musa Kuneni on a tour of the district, visiting its 8 zones. At Bright Day Church of Nazarene, it was a 3-in-1 occasion. Bright Day in the Rongo area of Lake Victoria district started as a preaching point in the home of George Caleb Oguta. So again, this adds so much legitimacy to me. The story that I just read on the other one, which again, you could just submit that story, right? This is an organization in which he's a part of, the Church of Nazarene. And I go to look at missions, and I go to look at the congregates. These are, there's tons of people here. Now, the Church of Nazarene has a checkered history. There is child abuse, things like that, that was swept under the rug that have now suddenly come to light. Obviously, that's not the entire organization, and every organization has problems. But this is the issue. Like, when you think of a church, you need to actually have your guard up. But the people who want to abuse the name of God or abuse the name of the church, or grievous wolves in sheep's clothing, they know they're letting your guard down. Oh, that's just a sheep. You let your guard down. But there's a wolf inside. Same thing. When you see a church, what you should do is the opposite. Don't let your guard down. Put your guard up. How many churches have abused people over the years? How many churches have done many evil things in the name of God? These people have no fear of God, clearly, because they did a lot of evil in God's sight, but they still didn't, they refused. When you see a church, put your guard up. That's why I say to people at the Laodicean Church of God, put your guard up. Don't let it down. Scrutinize that information. And if something isn't quite right, don't be dishonest. Come forward to us. We want it. Honesty is the policy. Honesty is the best policy. And again, we have a lot of information here. And again, a lot of it can be true, right? Some of it, obviously there were lies there, but this is true. I did this, I did that. Well, hold on, George. You didn't have any money. Where'd you get the money to learn and invest yourself in education so you can speak English? He was considered stupid, but he's multilingual. He can speak Swahili and English. So clearly he's not stupid. But again, that could be his father or whatever, people putting him down. I understand that. But the truth is, it could well be true. But where did the money come from to build this? His father was poor, his mother was poor, everybody's poor. Do you know where they got the money from? The people in the church. These people know how to make money from people in the church, which, yes, every church makes money, you pay tithes and all the rest of it. We understand that. But the money, he's saying, I gave this. But I'm sorry, the people gave you this money. And clearly, the guy doesn't have a lot of money to his name today, even though he lives in a nice home. His home is nice. It's got double glazing window, nice big window in it, nice furniture, everything's plastered nicely, everything's painted. It looks pretty nice to me. They even have inset ceilings in the plasterboard. So you have the plasterboard and then on the top of the ceiling, and then it's inset with these lights around. It's quite nice. It's certainly better than what most Kenyans in Rongo live like. So, there is this as well. And I also got to meet Joshua Ongoro. However, when I look at him, you'll see what I mean. There's just something that doesn't look quite right about this pastor, Joshua Ongoro. That the hall was a surprise gift to the church. Oh, it's a surprise gift. Really, it's a surprise gift. So I built this church, mate. Where did the money come from? He's still not explained where the money came from. And that's the hard part of his story. Because when you plead that you are a poor, poor man and you're poverty, where did the money come from for you to build this thing? That is the hole in this story, and they're the only two that I've seen. And there's a problem with what he's saying. Where did the money come from? You see, there's a saying to keep people in line, because don't forget Africa is very poor and people have to be kept in line. They say God and gangs. God and gangs. And some of them are not that far apart. That they keep people in line. Now, if you understand the Laodicean Church of God, you know that I don't like politicians in the pulpit. They're a disaster. This man told me that he was not a politician. This man said specifically to me, I said, are you politically affiliated? Is this a political campaign? And he said, no, I'm not a politician. I do this in my spare time to help the community. Another shining white knight, but yet a blatant lie, as this man is definitely a politician. And the thing about this is, right, a scam, once you know a scammer, you can't scam anymore. Once people know your face, you know your name, you can't be a scammer anymore. If you have a shining white knight, this guy won't do any of the dirty work. I want you to understand this is a syndication. This guy won't do any of the dirty work. It will be his associates around. How do I know that this guy's a scammer. You're going to go, Lawrence, look at how good this guy is. You're supposed to be a Christian. You're supposed to be a Judeo-Christian. We don't prejudge. Well, I'm not prejudging, not without evidence. And trust me, I have plenty of evidence on this individual and his cohorts basically setting up what we know as a missionary scam. This is why you have to be very careful when these people want you to invite you out there for missionary and all this lot. They will have picture after picture after picture. I mean, look at these pictures. Beautiful community members. Okay. Getting all the... They said they hand out seeds. Okay. There's Joshua. And Joshua always looks very... I don't know. And there you go. We have these guys. You know, it looks very well to do, folks. These are the images. You know, feeding the community, helping the community, and so forth. But still, there is no explanation as to where George Caleb made this money, because his dad was poor. He said, my dad was poor, we were poor. So where did you make the money? You made the money from the church. And he lives in a very, very nice home. For a Kenyan, even a first world country like this, that's a nice home. It's not a bad home. Sent me pictures of it. But here you go. You know, you see this figurehead, and you see him teaching here. Okay, so he's teaching. He's doing a lot of teaching all around. This is all like very, very well orchestrated. And when you do the background checks, it all checks out. Joshua Ongoro, there he is. And then Caleb, and then there he is. And there's all the church people here. Okay, so you have all of this here. And, you know, George, you know, he's not looking what he's afraid of there. But anyway, you have George, and you have all these things. So, we're going to now start to look into... So you now know the backstory. He was very poor. He used to eat from the place of dogs. His family were fighting. He lived a sinful life. And then the pastor came in, healed the marriage, became very wealthy. Obviously, it's very wealthy for a Kenyan to be giving away $50,000 for a giant church, right? It sounds too good to be true, folks, because it is too good to be true. And a lot of missionaries... they get scammed like this, and I'm not having anybody scammed, you know, in this way, because this is terrifying. I could have been in the group. When I look at these people, after I realized it wasn't what it was, can you imagine being sat in a room with them? I think that's Joshua again. There's Caleb. Can you imagine being sat in a room like this with people you don't know, and then they start asking you for money? And you don't know what could happen if you say no. You don't know the environment. They know your hotel. They know where you stay. They're very influential in their area. So they know all the taxi drivers. They probably know all the police. They know all the... I mean, look at these guys. Look at them. They are extremely well connected. You are in their hands. You are in their care, but you do not know who they are. I mean, look at this guy. Look at that guy. He's in a very fancy chair. There's Caleb there. But here's the guy, the main guy. And we take a look at the political association, which again, Caleb lied about and said that he was not doing this based on politics or whatever, and it is all political. Everybody knows it's political. But, you know, they add certain legitimacy to what they do. And, you know, they give me videos of people preaching, and they're there and they're happy with that. Okay, lovely, and everything's lovely, and these people are people of God. Right. So you kind of get the point. They give you plenty of photos. They speak to you over months and months, maybe days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months. And again, you do the background checks, you do the security checks. You're like, wow, this is the real deal. I couldn't believe it. That I always wanted to preach the gospel, not because I want to preach to people and look like Mr. Big Ego. I actually think that this is a fulfillment for me as a life goal. And I just look at it like, if I'm happy doing this religion, which I am, Judeo-Christianity has made me very happy, that if I do that for other people, that's going to help them become happy too. And all I wanted for people was just to be happy. And that's really all this was about. That's all it was really about. But, alas, the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And next up, we're going to take a look at the political affiliation. It's ODM member leader, which he openly lied to me about. He said, I do this in my spare time. I choose to do my own time. You will see in PayPal, his confession is that he's going to run in the 2027 election. And do you know why, guys, you don't want to be with a political pastor or be with that politician? You know why you don't want that? Because they'll take you on a political campaign where you're greasing the wheels. You go to this church, give me some money. You go to this orphanage, give me some money. We go to this town, that town. You meet loads of people you haven't met before. Give me some money. Always would you like to donate? No, we insist you donate. You don't know what will happen, but all of a sudden we'll go around all these places and it'll be money, 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 money. That's what it will be. It's all about money. You've got the haves and the have-nots. At the moment, I have and they have not. So they would like to take my have, and so they have it. You know, their way of give me your money, give me your clothes, give me a boost, give you a motorcycle, right? Yeah, it depends on what you mean by the give way. Everybody says, well, I'm the give way. Yeah, give me your money. Yeah, okay. Well, that's not quite what God intended with the, the giving side of things. It's not give me your money. So, you're probably going to think, Lawrence, this sounds terrible. How dare you? This is a man of God. He grew up poor. Now he's been successful. God has clearly blessed this man. He is incredibly blessed. Why am I making this video right now as almost as what you would say is, oh, this is terrible or this is not good? Why am I making this video now? Because I'm going to expose the other side of it that you don't see. This is the side that everyone sees, and they see the good side of this. But what they don't see is as I say, the black bandits behind it, right? You've got the white knights and the black bandits, and that's how the game is played. You know, a checkered board, a chessboard, white knights, black bandits. The white knights have to be clean because you have to be able to run this sort of scheme of political fundraising, which you'll see that there is a little bit of corruption there with ODM, which is associated with this particular person. Following in the footsteps again. This is all corruption. And a lot of those people here, they're being fleeced as well. And don't forget, a lot of that community, they're going to believe Caleb. They're not going to believe me. So whenever I say, oh, I'm in trouble or I need some of this, they'll go straight to Caleb and then I'm in trouble. You're in their territory. You're in their dominion. You know that these people are very well connected to police, transport. They've got everything on lock. I realized how much I let my guard down and how much I trusted somebody in the space of a few months. But it is this church. It is the fact that he walked me around this church. It is the fact that I knew that this is legit. That and doing the background check, this is the thing that gets you. To think that this is genuine. Look at all this information. Look how good this story is. It's got to be legitimate, right? Well, wait a while. Because now I'm going to show you another side to the coin. And again, reiterate the bits where, well, this story starts to fall to. So yeah, here is a little bit of backstory from him. This is a little proof that, I was chatting to him. This is the guy.
Gosh, be back if you want to hear the Lawrence. Just in the house. One more bundle.
So, we have a lot to discuss over this. I'm sorry, I'm probably not very well lit, but at this moment in time, I just want to get this information out here so people can learn this and that people are not targeted in this same way. There are phone conversations with this individual. So here's where alarm bells start to ring. And because I was more interested in doing my desire, see, they know that you have a desire to teach. And they know you have a desire for God and it compels you. And you're going to focus on that and not on the red flags. But I should have straight away blocked him and not responded after this particular individual. You know, they talk about praise the Lord. No, we're going to talk about spreading the gospel. And this individual actually emailed me as an associate of Caleb and asked for money straight away. Just straight away asked for money. Now, this is common because they try to test the water, but it cannot be the main individual itself. So it can't be Caleb, this individual. It can't be him that asks for money or, you know, directly will ask for it. And the truth is that they will pose potentially as someone else. It may be him posing as someone else, or it may be one of the cohorts posing as this person. But he said, yeah, this person's heard about this gospel. They want to join the message. Can you send me money so that I can go out to Tanzania or wherever it was that they said? It's only going to cost me $200 something. I'm like, $200 sounds too cheap for a flight and a stay. And not only that, you've asked me for money and I don't even know who you are. And he said, well, you can be transparent. You can pay Caleb. You can give the money to Caleb. No problem. So that was the first red flag. But you don't take notice of that. I didn't pay it. And I said, I'm not interested in giving somebody money. I don't know them. And he said, well, I advised them wrong then. Well, I advised them wrong. Or maybe I advised him wrong. So Caleb has said that I would pay for this trip, in other words, and that he would then, you know, go on to email me and ask me for money. So he's clearly associated with it. And he said, oh, I only met this guy 2 or 3 times. So you're telling me a guy 2 or 3 times to contact me and send you money? Or, you know, him money, but it goes through Caleb so that, you know, I trust Caleb. And so I get paid. So that very much clearly is the fact that this guy is actually scamming people. I was on the phone conversation with him numerous times, and he would talk about how he was... one time I interrupted him in a conversation when I phoned him, and he said, I'm glad you phoned me because there was a guy, like a Boda driver, which is like one of those motorbike taxis. He said, he was arguing with me over payment and things like that, and then you phoned and then he went. So he's clearly got financial problems, and it's worth noting to the people out there in Kenya, in particular, that this individual runs for office, but they have financial troubles. That's not a good sign. And I'll tell you why, because obviously if somebody comes along with a load of money, they can influence him politically. You want people who are financially stable in order to run for office. Plus, this was a giant scheme to basically get me over there to grease the wheels for a political campaign. I asked Caleb directly whether he was involved. I saw ODM. I didn't know what that means. I think it's Orange Democratic Party or ODM, Orange Democratic something. Which, obviously, now I've researched into it. There is a lot of shady things going on. A lot of shady things going on with ODM. And it's extremely interesting what's been happening. So that was the first red flag. He sent me somebody. He sent me this individual, apparently. That's from his own words. He said, I advised him wrong. So he advised this person to come and speak to me and ask me for money straight away, and that I could pay Caleb because that makes it more honest. I refused to pay, and he said, well, just ignore that, delete that, it's no big deal now. Then, after he sent me this individual that, was apparently going to go on his own missionary trip that he wanted me to pay for, and I'm like, what? What is this? I've never met this person, you're asking me for money straight away. Should have been a red flag, should have blocked it straight away. I didn't. And then the next thing, because it wasn't Caleb directly, it was indirectly associated with him, I thought, okay, this is just somebody who potentially wants some money. This is just classic baiting people in, but they know not to try the waters on with me. You've got to really groom me to get the money out of me. So he said, well, just ignore that guy. No big deal, just ignore it. Oh, so I can just ignore it, no big deal. Okay. Even though you sent this person to me to pay you money. But then I booked the hotel. So I booked the hotel. He actually went to this hotel. Which, I mean, it cost me for 17 nights, $55 a night, $1,200. So it's about £900. Now I'm hoping to get that back through the credit card company. Because basically they approached me and asked me to go for this accommodation. This is why you have to be really careful and put your guard up. They are telling me $280 for the taxi. You have to pay $140. There's another story with that as well. Caleb said that I had to pay. I can't pay online. I have to pay Caleb. That was another very suspicious thing. You can pay online. I paid for the apartment building through Expedia.com. But Caleb told me that I cannot pay for it. He said, you can't book it online. You have to book it through me. Now, luckily, I didn't. But he said, you can't pay online. You have to book it through me. Now, why on earth could you not book that online? Why on earth would you be telling me an out-and-out lie? So, a place that takes bookings, you can't book it online. And what planet do you think I'm on? And I said, I'm sure you can book it online. Oh no, brother, you can't book it online. You have to give me the money. That's what he said. And guess what? It was a complete and utter lie. I bought it through Expedia, but they were the ones who approached me and said, you need to purchase this. You need to go where we know. The other one was the Treat House Resort, which Caleb said, I know both owners. I know both the Treat House Resort owners and I know this apartment building. Either one is fine. Just come. And I'm so grateful he did this, but he won't be scamming anybody else. And back onto this politics thing. So again, that's... but he waited a while and then he asked me for more money, and you'll see. But he said that he was not a part of the ODM. He said that he was not a political leader. He was lying to me. He said basically in his email when he's desperately trying to contact me, he said, oh no, my people want me to run. I'm sorry. I don't care if your people want you to run. You are running in the 2027 election. You are running in the 2027 election. That's what he said. So he is running for election. He wants me to grease the wheels of his political campaign that he cannot afford. He's arguing with a boda driver, or however you say it. He's arguing with basically a taxi driver or somebody who did him a favor driving him around for $20. He is getting down over money. And he kept saying, when you come over, you'll solve all the problems. When you come over, you'll solve all the problems. Now, me, naturally, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Me solving the problem? Sure, it's about God and Yeshua and God solving all that. He said, when you come over, God will solve all the problems. You will... No, not me. No, he should have said God will solve the problem. What he said was I was going to solve the problem. And I was like, but Caleb, what do you mean that I'm going to solve your problem? And then, of course, he said, well, this is the problem. So he waited until he actually went to the apartment building and checked to make sure I booked. I thought that was very strange, even though I'd given him proof that I booked it. And then after the time period had run out for getting a refund on the hotel, as soon as that happened, I got a text message from Mr. Caleb. I am back in the house. My adopted daughter, one in boarding school in Migori Girls, one in, I'm not even going to pronounce it, girls' school, and 2 boys. They have been under my care for long, since they were left orphans. Now, this guy can speak pretty good English, but he can't obviously write very good English. They were sent out of school, and they are in 4th form. They are back in the house this evening while was changing my phone away. In whichever way, may you support me so that they report back to school. Anything that I can go and beg the teacher to allow them BW back to school. What is available I can divide for the 4 of them. Even if each we can pay. I love how we can pay. You mean I can pay them $50 each. This is just a humble request. Thank you, brother. The whole thing has been grooming me and I spent hours wasted with this individual. $50 each for his children. So then I started putting it together. I'm like, hold on. Initially, somebody who you advise them to ask me for money and pay you. Next thing, I can't pay for the hotel online. I have to go through Caleb, which I didn't go through Caleb. And I paid on credit card. So I've gone to the credit card company and basically said they've solicited these funds from me, which they have. They said, I know the hotel person. I know which to book. By the way, that hotel didn't have a safe. So what happens, folks, is if you start saying no to these people and saying, I'm not going to give you any money, they may get violent with you, but more than likely they can't ruin their white knight. They can't ruin Caleb's reputation. You can't buy back a reputation. So what happens is they rob you. And the easiest way to rob you is just to make sure there's no safe in the room. And even if there were a safe in the room, you couldn't trust it anyway because the manager, the guard, or the other people may have access to it and will just open it up with a mask. But obviously they have to make it look like a robbery. And so that means they'll probably have to break the safe. So, but they magically choose places where there's no safe. You can't put your stuff away nice and safely. And of course, it'll all be robbed anyway. That is only speculation, but I imagine if you don't pay these people, then, I mean, they won't out and out, Caleb might not out and out do anything, but his cohorts do. As I said, the White Knight, you can't ruin their reputation. But the Black Bandits, the bandits that are on the darker side, the people who do the dirty work, they'll do it. And this is what we face. There's so many red flags. And as soon as he dropped this text message to me, he says $50 each. That's $200. I'm not even on the plane yet, and this guy is already asking me for $200. And he said, oh, well, you were kind to me. You were nice to me. You showed me that you were concerned. And all the rest of it. This was a total scam. A total scam from the beginning. This is the WhatsApp exported chat log. I just feel absolutely hoodwinked. It is disgraceful what I have been through, and you just learn not to trust people after this. This was a very softly spoken man, very nice, but you just don't know who you're dealing with. These are wolves in sheep's clothing. Don't forget, people kill for money. These are wolves in sheep's clothing. You have to be so careful with these people, and don't put all your eggs into one basket. If that person's telling you, I'll sort out the transport, I'll sort out the hotel stay, you got to go all through me, don't do it. It's like having a handler. You are literally giving them all the power over where you are. They can control you. They can extort money from you. Who knows what they can do? And this is very clear to me. Oh, this is a humble request. Yeah, now it's a humble request. Imagine if I was over there with these people and I had no idea. You're in a room full of people who you have no idea their history, their past. They can be asking you for money. All they're going to do is ask you for money, 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 money. And every place they take you, money, 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 money. And when they're translating, how do you know they're translating what you're saying? How do you know that they're saying what you're saying when you're teaching and preaching? This is what it's all about. It's all a syndication. And then in the end, they need plausible deniability. Well, he gave it out of free will. No, it's a scam. And the scammers don't want to be revealed because they want to keep rerunning the scam. So here we go. He says, give me $200. Thank you, brother. Just a humble request. A humble request for $200 after I've spent thousands of pounds arranging this trip. £2,000. The vaccines that I had to have were upwards of £500 because I had to go private, and they push you. They want you to go quick. You see, they want you to go quick because you don't think. They want your desire, and they always talk about desire, teaching, It's all a pack of lies. And by the way, I have contacted the Church of Nazarene. They haven't said anything so far, so we'll just have to see if they will. But the whole thing is a pack of lies, and it was, what is your motivation? He said, well, when you come, all my problems are solved. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means I'm paying for your problems, aren't I? That means I'm getting you out of Dodge. This guy needs political money. And the gangs they groom. Don't forget, this guy, where did he get his money from? The community. They paid for him. They paid for his education. They paid for everything. You don't think that community has gangs? Yeah? The way they keep people in line is God and gangs. And some of them, they're not separated. You see it all the time in political atmospheres, particularly around, corrupt organizations, corrupt governments, God and gangs. You control people, right? You got the velvet glove, which is God, and then you've got the iron fist, which is the gang, and they'll wrap themselves up in one. Where did they get this money from? I gave this church. I gave it to the community. The community paid for it. You don't have any money. You just told me you don't have any money. So where'd you get the money from? Where'd you get the money from? You got it from fleecing the flock like all the other gangsters out there. These people are not who they say they are. These people are not who they say they are. And of course, it's classic missionary scams. And of course, the party that... let's just do this. Okay, so the party, the ODM MP arrested after officers raid his home. Okay, so he's got multiple homes. Whilst most people don't have one home over there, he's got multiple homes. And he's part of the same party that Mr. Caleb is associated with, the ODM party, in which he said he was not a politician. To me, on the phone, he said, I'm not doing this. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing it for my community. That is not true. And the reason why you don't want a politician is because they're going to take you on a campaign trail in which you're greasing the wheels. ODM MP arrested after officers raid his homes. Guess what? 23rd of January 2025. EACC, which is an anti-corruption organisation, raids MPs' homes and conducts arrests over SH122 million scandal. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested Rongo constituency member of Parliament Paul Abor over allegations of corruption, conflict of interest and theft of public funds. The arrest follows an investigation into the misappropriation of SH122 million from the Rongo National Government Constituency Development Fund. So there you go. The party that this man is associated with is rife with corruption. Then George Caleb Oguta, a true representative of the Congo, blah, 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 hashtag 2027. And this was posted on 20th of February 2024 after your man got arrested. Okay, you've now got in 20th of February 2024, this wonderful shining white knight is running for office, but told me it was nothing to do with politics, and very clearly it was. And he said specifically, I asked you, are you associated politically? Are you associated with any politics? He told me categorically, undeniably, no. Well, that's categorically a scam. And we have lots of information here. He took $140 off me for the taxi. I was like, okay, I can't book it online. You got to go through Caleb. But with the accommodation, I was like, nope, I'm not booking it through you. But he said, no, you have to book through me. You can't book it online. And I said, well, then I can't book it then. I'll have to book the treat house and I can book that online. He said, whatever works, it all works for me. Of course it all works for them. Of course it all works for them. Of course it does. Of course it does. And they need a deposit straight away and blah, 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 blah. But they have solicited the funds. They asked me to go to this specific place. This is clearly an absolute scam. Can you imagine being out there with a bunch of these men? You have no idea their past. You have no idea what they're capable of. I mean, if you looked at this man, you wouldn't go, oh, I feel threatened. But these types of people, believe you me, they're very different men. And now when I look at this man, I used to see a gentle, kind, he's gracious, he was giving man. I'm a family man, all this rubbish. Scammers can have families, all right? Gives them more justification to scam. And now all I see is a criminal. Now all I see is a criminal. I don't see a good man here. I see somebody who fleeces the flock, who has taken lots of money, and of course, this money, is owed to somebody, right? They say, oh, I gave the community this church. Rubbish. Nothing in this world comes for free. If the community was paying you tithes, paying you money, who paid for your education, Caleb? Who paid for your education? This is the questions you need to ask. Don't just look at, I gave this community $50,000, here's the church, I walk around it. How did you get in a position where you could literally pay $50,000? You were poor, you didn't have a good education, you had nothing, and now all of a sudden you're the guarding savior? Now all of a sudden you're the proverbial son, and they always say, God works through me, and it's all miracles. It's all a scam, ladies and gentlemen. It is a scam. The whole thing is a sham. And don't expect any sympathy from the people sitting here or any of these other people, because they won't know and they're not interested. And also, they might not know. They probably don't know. But this is the next level of corruption. We're running for 2027, after your man was just arrested on the 23rd of January. Oh, and he said to me, my people want me to run. I don't want to, they've asked me to do this. I didn't want... Well, that's not the point. I asked you if you were politically associated. He was politically associated, and this is exactly why. If I'd have known that, I would have simply cancelled it and gone away. There's two things that can fleece you worse than a prostitute. It's a lawyer and a politician. They are the worst for it, and let me tell you something. These people really, really can fleece the flock. And I'm sick and tired of seeing politics in church life. Oh, there's such good leaders. I tell you what, out there in Africa, there is a lot of corruption. And anybody that's willing to admit that, there is a lot of corruption. And particularly in the churches. And there was a woman from Nigeria who said that there's a scam going off in Nigeria that's constantly being run across the entirety of Africa. If you don't pay them money, you don't get the blessings. So the poor stay at the back and don't ask for blessings. You know why? Because then they say, well, I'll stay at the back because God won't bless me. I've not got money. When people turn people into merchandise, what they've done is political campaigning and fundraising through churches. It's absolutely diabolical. And when you see these people now, you see how sick these people are. You see their true intentions. They are not good, honest, integral people that they presented themselves to be. You want to run for office, but you can't sort out your kids' tuition. And by the way, look at this. He's asked specifically for money. I want $50 each, right? Don't forget, this is somebody that I really thought was a genuinely good person. But no, when you have that desire to teach, it blinds you to the fact of what is going on. And they know, they play on your desire. They dangle that carrot in front of your face. Do you want to teach? Oh, but guess what? Today we're going here and you need to give X amount. And today we go there and you need X amount. Money, money, money. That's what it's all about. That's what makes the world go round. Let's have $50 each. It's a humble request. $200. There's another $200 from your friend that you told to speak to me. This gentleman, shall we say, so to speak. And so all of this adds up in my brain as, hold on a minute, this is just a scam. They wheel you around the place. They want you to pay for everything. They will suck you dry. And you don't know if they're going to get violent. There was a story of a missionary who went over there and they nearly beat him half to death because he wouldn't pay out. He said, no, I'm not doing the scam. Now, don't forget, you've got the white knights. They won't do the dirty work, but the men behind them, they'll do the dirty work. This is how they work. This is what they do. This is what they do. And it's a sickness. And I don't know who to trust anymore. I wanted to trust these individuals, but they have shown me their true colors, and I can no longer trust them. This person, and here's another specific thing. They have lots of followers, 5,000 followers or so, for like their Facebook groupie kind of thing. And yet they only get 2-3 likes. It's very clear to me they're just spam. Once you start seeing spam, you know you're dealing with a scam. Spam is scam. So you've got 5,000 followers, but most of your posts only have 2, 3, 7 likes, 5 likes, blah, blah, blah. Right? And, you know, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, man. These people are going to act so nice to you. They're going to act so good to you just to extort money from you. You know, and the worst thing about this, folks, is the mental trauma that can come from it. Like, what would happen if I actually went over there? What would happen to my family if, you know, I got scammed out of this money? What would happen to me if I said no to these people? You learn not to trust people, even people that are nice to you. You ever see those people, you're nice to them and people get aggressive with you? It's usually somebody who's been scammed, because they don't know who to trust anymore. It can make people quite nasty. So don't become nasty, but it can make people quite nasty because you don't know who to trust. I remember that same time, a friend of mine started texting me through WhatsApp late at night. And she was talking about what we were talking about on the Sabbath and everything else. And she says, are you okay? You know, she kept saying, are you okay? Because I kept wanting to check her identity and who she was, because I can't trust people anymore. Is this another scammer? Who is it? Because I didn't have her number saved as her name. I was like, is this a scam? You know, are you adding me back again? You don't know who to trust. These people have lied and lied and lied and lied. And here's another red flag, folks. They let you pay for everything. If you're the guest of honor, why are you paying for everything? Why are you paying for every last little thing? He wanted me to pay for him to drive to Nairobi, and then we stay in an Airbnb. And we'll book it on the same day. We'll book it on the day. And that's even more suspicious, because I'm like, you talk about book it on the day. Why would you book it on the day? Oh no, we'll check it in Kisii and whatever else. We'll go to this place just outside of Nairobi, the city. And we're going to book it and we're going to do that. Why would you do that on the fly? Look, folks, I'm so glad that I did not go on this missionary trip. And you have to be so careful. Just because you saw that story, you read the story. And it's all about social engineering. You saw that story, you read it, your heart. You think I'm a piece of trash for reading that story and then saying that this man's a scammer. How about now? How about now? They arrange everything, they put you under their control, and they will fleece you dry. And they lied about being political, which I hate politics in the pulpit. I absolutely will not be over there being used as cannon fodder for somebody's political party that's absolutely, its name is in the dirt right now, the ODM MP, you know, and all the rest of it. And this guy is associated with him. He has to be, because he's running for 2027, and that was introduced on the 20th of February. Well, the bloke was arrested in January. That news article right there is the 23rd of January 2025. This one is 20th of February 2024. So a whole year before, this man was planning to run for office. He's a liar, and he's a cheat, and he's a con. And all these people care about is your money. All these people care about is your money. Safeguard yourselves, folks, and make sure you expose these scammers for what they are. I'm going to make sure that I expose these scammers for what I am. I spent hours and hours with this man. And he is not the man he says he is. No way. But you know what is about a scam? But guess what? Even if you go out there and you exchange all this money, it won't hit home to you until you're on the plane or you're back home and you look at your bank account and it's half empty. Or maybe they fleece you entirely. And, they say, well, you gave it voluntarily. You gave it to the community. It's a total lie. It's an absolute con. It's an absolute con. And how about now? How about when you see the true colours? How about when you start seeing money, 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 money? This is not about God, it's about money. And that's what most of it's geared towards. My advice to people is, if you want to preach online. Teach online. Why do you need me to go over there and teach you? Why do you need me to go over there and preach to you? Like God would want me to convert a covetous man into the faith. The haves and the have-nots. Now, I'm going to show you the blatant scam here between us. So, here we can see, this was in the PayPal respondent. I can't show you because it's got some of my personal details in, but from the conversation we've had, this is a snippet of his reply, specifically at the end. I don't operate like that, Brother Lawrence. In other places that I have travelled, I have never conned my brother. So you got enough money to travel, but you don't have enough money to put up your guest of honor for the night. You're saying I'm gonna teach, I'm gonna go around all these places. I'm this person. He wanted to believe in me, and then what? You don't have money to help me out and community. And why do I have to travel all the way around Kenya? Why can't I just stay in one place and teach? Oh, because all these people want to see you. And I'm like, yeah, I bet they do. Next year. I have never conned my brother. Next year, I will be a member of Parliament in 2027. So, obviously, he thinks that he's going to be a politician. I don't know. I will be an honourable person who will be supporting God's mission with my own cash. Well, that's ridiculous. I've seen you arguing. I will be honourable person who will be supporting God's mission with my own cash. Basically, because he's a politician, he's going to make all that money and whatever. Brother, why must me and my family build a church worth $50,000? So that's $50,000. Then I come steal from you $200. Well, I tell you why, because you didn't give a $50,000 church. Your community paid for that church. You, your dad, your sisters, and everybody in your family were poor. And how come you've suddenly got $50,000 to give to a community? Is it because that church was paying tithes and money? They were already giving you money. He's acting like the work that the community did. You're not supposed to keep that church money as private property. Oh, I gave it to the community. Well, there you go then. The community paid for it. And he lives in a nice house. He lives in quite a nice house. Why, my brother? With my credibility, I have traveled 4 continents because I am truthful money. Not that that actually makes any sense, but whatever. I opened up on you because you were open and kind to me. Yes, I was. I was worried about what is troubling you. I was always looking down, always looking very troubled. Otherwise, I couldn't have told you what I was going through. Exploiting my kindness. Exploiting my kindness, of course. The receipt I sent you could tell you that girl is in secondary school, and I tried to pay her fee. No, you actually asked for $50 for all of your children. He only provided a receipt for Layla, which is 1. Not 4. You asked for all 4. That's $200 and $50 each. So this man doesn't have enough cash, but he wants to get elected politician. Then he'll have the money. Oh, I bet you will. Just like your friend here, he has enough cash. Well, maybe not anymore. But there you go. I mean, this just shows you the level of corruption and the level of detail that a scam will go to. And I don't want anybody else falling for this. But this is quite kind of rare, but they target specifically preachers, or they're going to target Christians in general. And I don't want to hear this horrible story happen to anybody else. It is disgusting. It was only that I did not have the cash at hand, but I knew by Sunday I was going to have the money to do all the fee and the mission. You're coming, that is all. You're coming, that is all. Well, I'm not coming, obviously. But he said, no, just bring yourself. Yeah, rubbish. Bring yourself, and they're the giveaway. Give me your money, give me your wallet. Why am I giving my time and money, and then you're asking me for more money before I even get on the plane? Why are your friends asking me for money? I don't even know them. This guy, I don't even know this guy. Oh, he needs $200 as well. Yeah. I tell you what, they need to learn some spiritual warfare on covetousness down there. So he's telling me, in this statement right here, he's telling me that he would have had the cash on Sunday. Guess when he asked for the money? Thursday. That same week. So you'd have Layla's money. The only one you provided is Layla. You asked for all 4 children $50 each. All 4 children $50 each. And he said, well, that girl's at secondary school and I tried and paid her fee. You asked for all 4 children's fee, and he only provided a receipt for one of his children. Like I care. After everything that these people have put me through. Alright, this is just a new level of corruption. And, this man should not. It's more scary to me that this person could actually be elected. He is genuinely a politician. He's genuinely ODM. He's genuinely got this church. And he feels like he's given to the community. I'm like, well, you didn't have any money. Who paid for your education? You see what I mean, folks? Like, these communities can be run like gangs. And what's behind it is you give that money over. This is community money. Then they start running these scams through the churches and whatnot, because the church owe the gangs money. Things like that. I don't know what's going on there, but is he a genuine political party leader? Yes. Is he a pastor? Yes, he is. That still doesn't mean they're genuine. So, look at this. This is what he said. I am back in the house. My adopted daughter won, laying it on thick in Missouri schools and da-da-da-da-da. They were sent out of school. Okay, so they were sent out of school and they were in the 4th form. They are back in the house this evening while was charging my phone away. In whichever way, may you support me that they report back to school and that they can go beg the teacher to allow them back to school. What is available, I can divide for the 4 of them, even if each we can pay for them $50 each. $50 each. And here is saying, oh, well, I paid Layla's. I tried to pay her fee. What about the others? What about the others? And then I research it. Kenya, and there is a University of Rongo University. In there, they have a primary and secondary school. And Kenya pay for primary and secondary education. You don't have to pay for it. So where's this fee? And of course, if you're in private school, well, that's a privilege, not a right. It was only that I did not have cash at hand, but I knew by Sunday I was going to have the money to do all the fee and the mission. So why are you asking me for money? He gave me this text on either Wednesday or Thursday that week. What, Thursday, Friday, and you're going to have the money on Sunday? And not one mention of paying me back, just a nice humble request for me to hand over $200 for your tuition fee. For all 4 of your children, only providing a receipt for one of your children. It's unbelievable, folks. The level of corruption. And I was reading an article online, particularly around the ODM and many others. Most of the sitting members in Kenya's parliament, they've got a case against them. Serious. Some of them are serious offences. Most of the sitting members are gangsters that have cases against them. So folks, look, to get rid of the missionary scam, and we do need to do this, and we do need to protect our churches everywhere, protect all churches, and protect Christians in general. Don't do missionary work on your own. Do it only with established missionary work that you absolutely know. So, for example, I go to a church called the Congregation of Yahweh. And I know that they're a legit church, and they do missionary work, and they do some charity work, and they do it. And we don't mind doing that. And I know the people personally. We go to the house church. We know people personally. You know, there's no way you're going to get up the creek without a paddle, so to speak. But this is just blatant fraud. At this point, this is just blatant fraud. And you want this man sitting, to the people in Rongo Kenya, you want this man to be sitting in office when he can't pay his tuition fees for his children? When he acts like this, when he's sending me people to ask for money, then he sends loads of other people to ask me for money. Then he lies and says that the hotel, you can't book it online. What hotel, what apartment can you not book online? You have to go through him. And of course, he knows the owner. He knows the owner. He tells me that he's not politically affiliated. He's a politician and a pastor. That's the worst combination. So, and then, next thing, 23rd of January 2025, EACC raids MPs' homes and conducts arrests over SH122 million scandal. And it's associated, this guy's in Rongo, Kenya. This guy arrested here, he's in Rongo, Kenya. Rongo constituency member of parliament, Paul Abora. Yeah? And ODM party. And there's their church. There's their church. There's their political church. And some of the Facebook comments on this page, one of them I think says, "Boy, you people are really desperate." And I wonder why somebody posted that. And then obviously now I know, okay, yeah, this is a scam. These people are criminals, but they act like they're good people. And you can very clearly see that there is substantial evidence here to support the fact that this person is a scammer. But they will always try to be the white knight. So my advice to anybody that is being solicited to do a missionary missionary trip, don't do it. You have to know the people in and out. And first, have a holiday there. Don't go on a missionary work. First, go on holiday there, because if you don't like it, you're not associated with anybody, you can just leave. If you're on a missionary with people, oh God, don't leave, brother. Oh, make sure you come here. You know, you get, a beating. Next thing, they're controlling you. They're putting you there. They might not do it, but their associates might. They can get access to your compound. They know the owner of the compound. They know everything around you. Why would you put yourself in that position? I let my guard down because it's a church and it's a politician and this is a public figure. Why wouldn't you trust them? It's so bad. It's so bad. And the corruption is so bad. So I'm grateful to Yahweh. I'm grateful to Jesus Christ that I got down and prayed and I said, God, is this honestly what you want me to do? And the next thing, he texts me that. And he texted it me specifically when the hotel would not be able to give me a refund. Well, they're saying that's when. He wanted me to go in that apartment building, which is all gated off, barbed wired. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, walls can keep people out, but walls can keep people in. And everybody there knows who I am. Everybody there, you're a white man. There's not very many white people down there. In fact, I don't think there's any. So most, even Caleb said, most of them, they've never seen a white man before. Some of them will run away. The children will run away. Some of them will come to you and be like, oh, that's interesting. And they'll look at you and they'll go, oh, that's strange. But others, they'll run away from you. I mean, folks, this is the thing. Just anybody approaches you with a missionary and it's too good to work, they know your desire is to teach and they're going to exploit it. The scammer knows the first thing, the apple of the eye. It's like Satan on the tree of good and evil, the apple of the eye. What do they desire the most? That's the distraction. So I ignored all these red flags because it was a distraction. And then they take money. Can I have school tuition fees? Can I have these fees? And if you give that to Caleb, then what about the guy down the street? Oh, well, he gave Caleb $200. And then I was going to donate some computer equipment. And then, oh, can we have $100? Our children have school fees. Would you give to one person, you think the other people aren't going to ask for money? They're going to ask you for money. I mean, this is just such a scam. And these people should not be elected at all. But of course, I've just ruined their political campaign, but I'm also going to make sure that the people in the future, the people in the future are not going to be able to do it. And with a politician that needs that kind of money, who's acting like this, he's all over the place. His story doesn't line up here and there and everywhere. Oh, I gave $50,000, but I'm super poor. My family was super poor. We were all super poor. So where did you get rich? You got rich off fleecing the flock, taking those tithes. It was a house church. They took all the tithes and all the rest of it. And then next thing they built this thing. But the problem is once the community says, oh, you owe us and this is our community, the gangs and everything else start getting involved. And they want money and there's a syndication of churches. This guy's a gangster. Look at this guy. He's a gangster, but he wears glasses and a nice suit. These people are gangsters. But they don't talk like gangsters. They don't look like gangsters. And you know what's really evil? Is the fact that these people, I believed in the goodness of it. That was the scary bit. And I sat down once I realized it was a scam. And there's a 24 to 48 hour window where you have the denial period. And that's where the scammer will try to contact you. You need to block them immediately because they will try to turn you around. They have 24 to 48 hours. And once they're done with their scam, let's say you get out scot-free and no problems. Obviously, you did have problems because everybody's asking you for money. 24 to 48 hours after that, after people keep asking you for money and all the rest of it, and you realize you've been fleeced, the denial period sets in. Oh, it's not a scam. Oh, they're genuine people. You know what I mean? So it protects the scammer, lets them flee, lets the bandits flee, lets the white knight look right. Because you're just going to say, well, you gave the money freely. Oh, these people are criminal. And they use God's name. I used to be, but now when I look at this person, you see, if I read you that story and then, you see this softly spoken man, resting now. Now that I look at, particularly this one, just, you know what I mean? Asking you to pray for them, asking you to pray with it. They're praying on you. And then they're asking you to pray for them. The level of corruption that is out there is just the risk is too great. You have to know every facet of your trip. You must make sure that the people that you're trying to arrange this with, they do not have full control over your travel. Rent a car. Have your own means to travel. And even then, they could sabotage your means to travel, so you don't want them knowing your location. You really don't know these people, but they look like political figures. I mean, this guy's a political figure, and he's a gangster thug. Associated with exactly the same party as this man. And he said, I'm going to be a politician in 2027. And I'll be like, not if I can help it. I want those people down in Rongo, Kenya to know what this man truly is. He's not who he says he is. And this 50,000, I gave 50,000. So you give $50,000, but you can't put your kids through school. Something doesn't add up here. And that's where you have to question, where did they actually get the $50,000 from? And have they done this before to people? These people could post that online and no problem. The Church of Nazarene. Everybody says, well, it's a big organization. You can trust it. Don't trust big organizations. Do you trust the Catholic Church? No, it's corrupt. There's good Catholics, but the organization, very corrupt. There's corruption. And the bigger an organization gets, the more corrupt it gets. Don't trust big names. It's kind of like saying, I trust Coca-Cola with my health. What makes you think that those big organizations give it legitimacy? But scammers do that to give themselves legitimacy. Because you don't know. Even that organization, the Church of Nazarene, has had several scandals where it looked the other way on child abuse. And allowed it to go on for some period of time before the pastor was arrested. But people just look the other way. I'll brush it under the rug. The bigger an organization is, the more corrupt it gets. The left hand don't know what the right hand is doing. Why are you going to trust that? And now I think to myself, how stupid. You tend to beat yourself up once you've been scammed. But please, listen to me, brothers and sisters in Christ. You have to understand, there are people who use God's name for political gain. And for financial gain. And they will come to you and they will look as nice as pie and they will say that they believe in your message. Don't buy it. You don't need to go and do it. All you need to do is tell, well, here's some literature. Convert it to Swahili using ChatGPT. Go print that and have that produced in your community. Why do you need me to go over there and you're making me pay for the trip? You want me to go over there on a missionary trip, but you want me to pay for it? So I'm spending my time and my money doing this is something you want. Obviously, I do want to do that thing where I'm teaching people, but you got to be careful. You're not walking into a den of vipers. This is definitely corrupt. These people, money, money, money. They're desperate. Their chief gangster's been arrested. This is in Rongo, Kenya. Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Boom. And they say to me that I should trust it. I asked him if he was politically affiliated. He said, no, I do it out the goodness of my heart. I do it out the goodness of my heart. I am not involved politically. That is a bold-faced lie. And then he goes on to say, I am doing this because the people asked me to do it. No, I asked you if you were politically affiliated. I don't care if the people wanted you to do it. I don't care if you said you wanted to do it. You were asked if you were politically affiliated. You said yes. You said no. He said, no, I'm not politically affiliated at all. That's why I believed it. There's quite a few things that can fleece you on this planet, but nothing like a politician and a fake pastor. And quite frankly, we've got a double 1-2 whammy combo here. They will run you dry for their political campaign. Brothers and sisters in Christ, if you really want to preach the message of God, do it online. Do it in the safety of your own home. Never talk to people through open lines. Always go through VPNs. Never just hand your cash over to somebody. You go directly to the company. Pay on credit card and do not allow that person to know anything about your location. And before you do anything, take a holiday there and see if you like it. And if you don't, walk away. And don't just go where that person can see you. If that person can see you and recognize you, then it might as well just be the same thing. You're just going to go into the lion's den. Do not do it, brothers and sisters. Do not do it, brothers and sisters. You don't need to go out there and go and do this missionary work unless you absolutely know I'm arranging this in England with people that I know, or people in your country, so in the United States or wherever it is you are. You're arranging it with people in your country that you know 100% and an organization you already know in your hometown, which is what my church does. Not Laodicean, but the other church. I attend another church because, again, I am just here. But these people are exploiting the apple in your eye, the desire that you want, and then money, 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 money. And it's always about the money. It's not about the message, it's about the money. I'm already going over there. Think about this. I'm going over there. I'm spending my money. I'm spending my time. Why should you pay out anymore? And why should you even pay in the first place? That's how stupid it is. I'm just thinking, why am I paying for this? If they really believed I was who I was, they would have me on a private jet straight out there. They'd pay for your ticket. This is corrupt. There's a sickness. And it needs to end. So I'm going to put this video out so no other poor Christian has to go through this. Look, folks, I'm a programmer. I'm smart. I've been in fintech. I know about scams and I know about how to double check everything. I've been working for banks and security software and all the rest of it. And this takes your safeguards down. Whenever you hear about a church or a politician or anything, don't let your guard down. Put your guard up. When it comes to God, put your guard up. Is that really God? Are they really who they say they are? The Bible always talks about it. Don't just believe on what they're saying. They honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They want the worldly things. Don't just go and believe them. This is corruption. It's corrupt. And this guy's card is marked. He tried to steal from God's true one. His card is marked. His card is marked. His days are numbered on that. These can be the most softest, kindest, gentlest people. But guess what, folks? When you're over there and you say no to giving them money, or their friends' money, you may see a different side to it. And then it's not so. And these people will guilt you. They will social engineer you. They will hurt you. We don't deserve to be treated. I feel sorry for a lot of people out there in Rongo, Kenya, and other places that have to deal with this level of corruption. It is absolutely disgusting. And now that I know that I have potentially paid a residency that they recommended because they're part of this close-knit network, well-oiled machine. These people know they know what they're doing. They are an organized criminal syndicate. How did this guy get elected if that wasn't the case? How does this guy get elected that's arrested by the EACC for the SH122 $122 million slush fund scandal and trying to take over a radio station and all the rest of it? How could this person... I feel sorry for people in Rongo, Kenya. Stop going to that church. Stop going to churches with politicians in. Keep your money. You're better off.